Hello, and welcome to Redstone for the Average Steve with NickDubz. This is episode 3. In the last 2 episodes, we talked about sending the signal. And in this episode, we're going to be touching on that as well. But this time, we're not going to be talking about things that trigger redstone signal. We're going to be talking about things that just power things. And those 2 things that we're going to talk about in this episode are the redstone block and the redstone torch. So you can see here, both these blocks by default they're on. They don't need anything to power them. They're always on. And these are both sending signals to these 2 bits of redstone dust. I'll just quickly brief on the block, but we're going to touch more on the redstone block in other episodes when we use it. But basically the difference between the 2 is that when I put a piece of wool on top of this redstone block, it's not powered. So even though I put a dust up there, it's not powered. Any dust that is directly next to the redstone block, however, is powered. On the other hand, if it's a redstone torch, and we put a little piece of redstone dust on top, it is powered. So the redstone torch has effects on the blocks as well as the dust, whereas the redstone block only has effect on the dust that directly affects it. Directly touches it. And that's all we'll go over in this. There's advantages to this. You can move it with pistons. You can't move torches with pistons, but we'll go over that in other episodes. And here we have showing you the example that if a block with a redstone torch on it is powered, the redstone torch on it will be turned off. So whenever you send power to redstone torch, it turns it off. So you can see this is the connection here that's turning that off. If that connection wasn't there, it would be on. And you don't need to have it be with a torch. You could just have a button next to this onto this block, and you can see when I press this button, it turns that torch off. Same thing if I was to put a piece of wool over here and then a piece of dust there. If there was a button on that, when I press this button, it's going to power this dust, which is going to power this wool, which is going to turn that torch off. There we go. Now let's put this back where it was. Put the torch there, and this torch is always powering this piece of dust, which is always powering this piece of wool, which is keeping this torch off. And I said when you send power to a redstone torch, it turns it off. That only applies to if you are powering the block that the torch is on. So this torch could be on top and it's still going to be off. But as soon as you put the torch over here, even though it's technically in the same block space, it's not touching it. Over here we have an example showing that even though this torch is powering this torch, it's not actually powering it. The only time you'll get that effect is when you're powering the actual block. I don't know why I wrote that there, didn't need to. But it only gets turned off if you're powering the block that it's on. Right now, all that's happening here is this torch is powering this dust, and at the same time that torch is powering that dust. Doesn't matter which one's there, this is very unnecessary. And same as the example over there, because this piece of wool is powered, this torch that is on this piece of wool is off. And here's an example of how you can pass a signal upward, vertically, with the torches. So let's say you have a lamp right on top of that piece of redstone torch right there, and you have a button really low down in a tower or something, and you want to flash that light up the top. The way you do that is, if you had the big long string of torches going up, you just have to have this one be off, and then when you press a button, it'll power whatever it's up there. And that's how you'd send a signal upward. The same thing goes for if you have a crisscross pattern like this. Maybe you have room for this. If you press this button, you'll see the signal goes upward. So basically the way this works is this torch by default is powering this wool, which is turning this torch off, which is allowing this one to be unpowered, which is not turning this torch off, which this torch is powering this wool, which is keeping this off. And then when you press this button, it's going to send a signal to this torch, and it's going to reverse the whole thing. The other thing you'll notice with this is that there's a slight delay. So each torch that goes up, I believe, is a 1 tick delay. So you can see there's a bit of a delay between the time this one turns off and then this one turns on. Same thing on the way back. Just hit that button. The other thing I want to show you, like we showed at the beginning, is that when a block is above the torch, the dust will get powered. If that was a torch up there like we had over there, it would be turned off. But because it's a dust, it stays powered on. That being said, we're going to cause what's called a short over here. So normally when we put a redstone dust here, it's not getting any power. Unless we build something around, you can see, oh, there was a bit of a short there actually, because I'll show you exactly why in a second. But this piece of dust is not powered, and that's because it's not getting signal from this. The only areas that this would send a signal is here, 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 or if there was a block above it, that's where it would be sending a signal. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So basically what's going to happen here, when I put this piece of wool down, this piece of wool is getting powered, which you can see by us putting a piece of dust on top of that. And because this one is being powered, if I'm to put a piece of redstone dust here, it's also going to be powered, because this piece of wool is powering it. But the issue that this causes is that if there's a wool here, and it's on, then it's going to be powering this piece of wool, which is going to turn off this redstone torch. So what we've done there is we've caused a short, just like you can get in your house. It's sending power, and it's turning itself on and off so quickly, and you'll see what happens just when I put this on right now. There, you hear that short sound? So now it's off, but if we leave it for a little while, it'll actually try again and see if things have changed. And some people actually use this for sending a few quick pulses and then pausing, and then it'll be used again once it turns on again, which you'll see in just a moment. It's going to try it again. There we go. That was a lot longer than I thought. I'll probably do a cut in between there. But yeah, so I'll have to look up what the amount of time it is, but every time it does that, it does a few quick pulses, but then it turns itself off. And the same thing can be accomplished by, all you have to do is send power to the block that is sending power. So watch this. There you go. Same thing happens, and it shorts out. So as long as this block is getting powered, it's going to be turning this torch off. And because this torch is also the one that's sending the signal to this, it's going to short out. So that was a bit of a interesting thing we've experienced there. I have not actually experienced how long it takes it to do another cycle in the shorts, but that's actually quite a long time. And we're just going to end it here. I hope to see you guys again. Bye.